Personal care and tech, I think, are unfairly undervalued in EDC.
Last one that I've been carrying that's come in handy is a hero clip. A lot of people are like, what, is it just for the bathroom? What, you don't go to bathrooms with hooks on the door?
All right, I want to add one more underrated thing. I swear by hearing protection.
Ooh, that's a good one.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Carry the Way, the weekly podcast where we nerd out about all things EDC gear and maybe try to teach you a thing or two while we're at it. I'm Bernard, the founder of Everydaycarry.com, and I'm joined by our editor, Mikey.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. So what are we talking about? With the holidays coming up, we figured now is as good a time as any to reflect a bit on our EDCs. So what worked out this year, what didn't, what surprised us, right?
Mhm.
Given that our EDC setups are simultaneously both constant, yet have the potential to change at any time, we hope this discussion helps you explore ways you can fine-tune your EDC for the better, or maybe just appreciate it the way it is right now.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, first, some Q&A. This is something we're trying to do more often. We post on our Instagram story. It's at Everydaycarry, asking for you guys to send in some questions for us to answer. So you can always leave a comment on this video if you're watching on YouTube, you don't want to use Instagram, or you can shoot an email to podcast@everydaycarry.com. We'll check that and we'll try to answer these on the show. Good first question, because this is something I was going to do anyway. Bales.me asks, pocket check U2.
It's going to be super boring because it's just going to be the Leather Monarch. I've been traveling this week. So I have been in like 6 cities in the past 3 days. I have been traveling back and forth, and I've also been on a plane, so I had to check this one in. But this is basically all-in-one EDC. It has a knife, has
Yeah.
scissors that I've been using the past few days, and also not just for review. It's just really nice to have on hand. So the Leather Monarch for me. How about you?
That's your entire EDC?
Yeah. Well, I have some other stuff. Okay, let me complete the pocket check. I have a aluminum tactile turn mini. I find it a little bit too small, but it's a nice size to EDC because look at it compared to my
Uh-huh.
hand. If you're
Wait,
watching
can
it
I
on
can
YouTube,
I jump in, because this
sure,
this is a separate question,
sure.
but somebody asked like on an older TikTok that I made about the tactile turn. I had the mini as well. They asked, like, do you think it's too small, or like what is a good size? So what do you use that pen for?
I send and receive a lot of packages which require writing down addresses and needing my signature.
Yeah.
So I use it almost every week. And the first time I use it, I found it a little small because I'm more used to the short size, which is like about an
Mhm.
inch longer than this. But I'm getting used to it a little bit. I really like tactiles, the grooves on the pen itself, that even if it's like in an awkward position in my hand, I'm still able
Yeah.
to grip it properly
You
because of the
can choke
grooves.
up wherever.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, side tip, if you want to carry an EDC pen but you don't use it very frequently, I would recommend a small pen like that and prioritize portability. But if you're writing like papers or like doing homework or whatever, taking notes, then get like a full-size pen and just deal with the length, because overall the comfort and the experience of writing with it is just better. And I think that trumps portability for me personally.
Absolutely. If you're working with legal pads, you're gonna want something like full
Mhm.
size. If you're writing down little tiny notes on post-its or just going to the post office, then the smaller one is fine. And last but not least, to complete my black setup, I am holding up the Nightcore T4K, 4,000 lumens with an OLED display. I don't know
Mhm.
if I'm trying to get the camera to focus. But this has been in my EDC for at least a year and a half now. And what I like about it is this shape. It's nice. It's like a pack of gum, the
Yeah, it
size.
looks rectangular.
It looks rectangular. It's a little bit chunky, but it's a nice size. It fits into the pocket still. It fits into my any sling pocket, any backpack pocket, and at a push of a button, it's 4,000 lumens. So there you go. I just blinded everybody.
Yeah,
There
okay.
you go.
Yeah, Mikey just hit the turbo mode, and it has like 4 LEDs out
Yeah,
the
that's
head
right.
in like the square array. Yeah, if you're listening,
It's a bazooka.
probably for the better. It's quite bright.
It's a bazooka of a light. Yeah.
Cool. So you got the all black setup, and you got your slice right
Slice.
light.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, functionality covered. Very nice. So I'll start with mine. I'm holding up here. This is my CJRB Pyrite
Oh
Enthusiast Titanium.
no.
If I still had it, that's what I would be holding up. I was carrying that lately. Freaking lost it, bro. Like I never lose my EDC gear stuff, but this one apparently is so slim and so lightweight. I just don't know where it is. I've been asking like everyone I've come into contact with, so like two other people in the past week, like, did I leave it in your car or like is it in your couch? Like I checked my laundry, like I checked the washing machine, the dryer, I checked in the fridge. Like I'm desperate, bro. I'm like down bad trying to find this knife, but I think it's
And
gone.
that really sucks because you've been talking about that. You've been wanting that. I haven't heard you.
I talked about it on the
I haven't
show,
heard.
dude. I
I haven't heard about
I
you
know.
wanting a specific piece of EDC gear in a while, except for that one, and that's the one you lose. That is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I bought a bunch of stuff from Artisan or not, well, Artisan and CGRB, like kind of the same company.
Mhm.
I got the mini pyrite and in Ultim. Didn't actually. Well, I'll save that for later. I'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the actual knife I'm carrying now, this is I'm holding up the Artisan Cutlery Seder. This is I think
Ooh.
what is this S90V? I think it's S90V in the titanium. Yeah,
Polished
S90V
blade.
with
That's
a
interesting.
yeah, with a titanium frame lock, and it has similar texturing on it to like the ridges of your tactile pen.
Mm.
Um, but I think just like overall the ergonomics on this like really up my alley.
I haven't also seen
It's a little
a
bit bigger than
polished
I would
blade
want,
like
but
that in a while. Also, that looks pretty cool.
yeah, it's really pretty, and it's just like kind of a chonker,
Mm.
but somehow still elegant. It just has this like it looks visually elegant, but in hand it's very substantial. Really cool knife. Just been using this, and then I've been testing the Loop Gear SK03 flashlight. Yeah, I'm gonna post like a TikTok about this later today, so you guys can check this out. But this was on Kickstarter. We got samples in from Loop Gear, so thanks to them. Not sponsored or anything, just showing this off because somebody asked what's in our pocket. So I'm testing this one out,
Sweet.
and then I have my keys as normal, but I'm staying. Actually, I need to change this.
Wow.
I made like a video
Wow.
saying like, yeah, this is so cool, and like it's like a whole EDC setup on my keys. I think it's just too much for me now. Now that I'm like I don't care as much about having a backup setup
Mm.
on my keychain because I'm carrying dedicated stuff. So it's a little bit too much.
Nice combination of new stuff, old stuff. You held up in your keychain setup. We're probably going to get into it later on, but I saw your
Hmm.
nice hand gray carabiner, one of the OGs. That's
Yeah.
a nice mix of old and new, but still very Bernard setup. So really cool.
All right, let's jump into the next question. M underscore Vino 91 asks, slim box cutter
Hmm.
options? Question mark.
If you don't want to carry a
So
dedicated
I
knife, good option.
maybe we should even explain why somebody would want a box cutter instead of a knife.
Sure.
There's just less maintenance, bro. You could just beat up a box cutter, and if all you're doing is breaking down boxes, then like why not? You know, it just works really well, and you don't have to worry about it. And they're generally cheaper.
Mm.
So
And if you cut through tape, you cut through duct tape, you cut through like sticky stuff, just break off the dull point and you're good to go. Good to go
mhm.
again.
Or swap in a new one. Yeah,
Exactly.
it depends on the style. So I've tried the one piece style
Hmm.
tools like Big Eye Design Slide
Yeah.
TPT.
Standard
I
blades.
also had the Gerber Prybrid. Yeah, Gerber Prybrid. I think I had the mini, so it's like a craft blade. It's not
Mm.
the standard box cutter one. You probably had
I had the bigger
the
one.
thick boy
The
Gerber.
with the
Yeah,
pry bar, yeah.
yeah. So my premium pick would be the Exceed Tyrant
I
V3
love that.
because specifically MVino 91 asked for slim, and like I'm gonna hold this up to the camera. I don't have the exact specs. Maybe our producer can put that on with some B-roll, but
Mm.
this thing is pretty slim, and I like this because it feels like an actual pocket knife, like a frame lock titanium pocket knife, and when I want to break through a bunch of boxes or whatever, I just like this like rear flipper flick action.
Hmm.
It's just very fast to get things done. And then my budget pick, I don't know if this is actually a budget pick compared to like the grand scheme of like box cutter options, but I like Olfa stuff. I believe Olfa is Japanese and they're like used
The
in crafts
smaller
and
craft
hobbies.
blades, yeah.
Yeah, so the Olfa SVR-1 is slim, not just in thickness, but also just its width. It's a very like precision size. And I would use this when manipulating plastic when I would mod Game Boys in quarantine. So like that was like my little hobby, like where I would do my crafts and tinkering and whatever.
Hmm.
And I would stick to Olfa stuff because it's very precise. You can really get in there and does the job really well. So those are my two picks: the Exceed Tyrant V3 and the Olfa SVR-1.
I got a couple of ones. I'll go same as you. I have a premium pick, which would be the TJB Palmer. They made
The
a,
James
yeah,
brand.
James Brand Palmer. They made this, I think, a couple of months ago. And then what's nice, it's very basic. It's very clean, very minimalist James Brand style. And it comes in a bunch of colors that are pretty nice. And it uses standard blades. And it's not that expensive. I think it's only like $19 for one of them. And there's like a nice
Really?
salmon color. There's a black. There's a gray, I think.
That's
So
surprising. I would think the James brand prices things a little bit higher.
yeah, so that actually surprised me too. I got to get my hands on one of them too. But my cheap pick is a brand. It's kind of like a whole brand. It's, I believe, okay. So the name of the company is Slice, and they have a
Yeah,
focus
slice.
on very safety oriented blades, but they're specifically using ceramic blades. It stays sharp permanently, but the drawback is it chips. So if you kind of hit an edge on something and the blade chips, there's no getting it back. That's material that comes off of the ceramic blade and it's
Right.
done. But the designs of their blades are very ergonomic. It's very rounded. It's very safe. It's very very safety oriented. So and they're also very affordable. Like some of their smaller ones that are just like tiny box cutters for opening boxes is like $5, 4.99. And I just like the distinction of very bright, safety oriented, very affordable, and the contrast with the white ceramic blades. I just think it looks pretty cool and yeah, pretty affordable too. So that's my pick.
I would say most of the picks that we mentioned are fairly new-ish products.
Mm.
But just to like show you guys how old we are, there's also the Gerber EAB Exchanger Blade.
Ooh,
That's like a
the
classic,
classic.
very cheap. So if you like just want to try a slim box cutter thing that's like EDC vetted just by a bajillion people over like the course of a decade, then Gerber EAB,
There's
I
also
think,
the, remember the key pop, the thing on your keychain which holds
yeah,
like it's barely thicker than the standard blade. It's just enough to cover the
yeah,
edge, and then you leave it on your keychain. So yeah, there's that key pop one.
it's a screw pop.
Screw pop, sorry, not key pop. That's right.
Yeah. All right, Grandpa. Let's move on to the next question. Um, so Kerp Hudson, shout out to Kerp Hudson, asked a question before. Says, "Will you guys ever try making a slim bifold?" I'm not sure if you're talking about us specifically at Everydaycarry. We've done some collaboration products with other brands, like we worked with Orbikey, Manhattan Portage, that sort of thing. But if you're talking about Ridge, like Ridge Wallet, parent company, um, I can't answer that, but we can get people who could on the show if you guys are interested in that. We talk to some other brands and designers and stuff like that. Let us know if you guys want to hear from them because they could answer better than we could. Uh, but as far as slim bifolds, I was interested in that reform stuff. Have you seen that?
I believe so, but I thought you were gonna say your Valence pick, which is the one I
Well, nobody
associate
can
with.
get that,
Yeah, it's
and I
gone.
don't want to like gatekeep or flex. Like that's
I'm
discontinued
gonna
and rare
flex.
and
I'm
expensive.
gonna flex for you.
Right. Yeah, that used to be my wallet for a while. I've lost it and repurchased it, but now like I don't want to carry it because I'm like scared to lose it again.
And it's, yeah.
I started this episode saying like, oh, I never lose stuff, and then here I am just recounting all the
Now
things
you're
I've
all
lost.
paranoid.
Yeah, but for slim bifolds, something that I like, if you're not looking into a metal option, is stitchless construction and like welded seams or
Magpul Daka.
bonded seams. Yeah, so Magpul Daka, Daka,
Did you?
DAKA. That's a cheap one. Reform is like a newer one that has a little bit more advanced features, but similar like technical performant materials in a slim bifold silhouette with like that advanced manufacturing.
A little off topic here, but just to deep dive a bit. Did you ever try those Tyvek Mighty Wallet paper wallets?
No, that I don't think that would like. I don't like that kind of feeling, the Tyvek feeling.
like it's a bunch of stack of bills that are disintegrating in your pocket.
It's a kind of papery, kind
Yeah,
of like silky at the same time. It's
yeah.
a little bit strange. Yeah, so let's move on. King Chenson asks, should I get the new Olight Arkfeld Pro?
Mm.
Hmm.
Very interesting form factor from Olight. It's one of their newer form factors, other than the tube lights. And the original Arkfeld came with a laser, a green laser, I believe, and a white light. And then they came out with a UV version, which is a UV light plus a white light. And now I believe the Pro is all three of them. So you get best of all worlds: the laser, the UV light, and the normal white light. And it's,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a nice candy bar shape, similar to, I believe it looks almost the same size as the Nightcore EDC 27. It's that rectangular
It's
knife
I think
like.
it's much more compact, but yeah, think of it like it's the same sort of shape as a pocket knife in your pocket.
Mm,
It's just like that slim rectangular silhouette with a pocket clip, as opposed to a cylindrical barrel in your pocket. So that's, I think, the appeal of this style of lights. You can see, if you're looking for alternatives in the same style, there's also
the Streamlight
like the
Wedge.
Nightcore EDC 27, Streamlight Wedge,
Yeah.
um, Surefire Stiletto. That's maybe a little bit
The,
big and like
yeah.
not really in that sort of space you're looking
Oh,
for.
the Rovivon Angel Eye series, which is a short
Mm.
rectangular side by side light.
Anyway, as far as the Olight Arkfeld Pro, I think it just comes down to one or two things, I guess. There's price, right? So the cheapest one is the UV light plus the laser. Then there's the standard one with it's just a white light and a laser. And then this Pro one has all three.
Mhm.
If you don't value UV, because I think that's a very specific use case, then just like get the regular one probably
Yeah.
and just save some money. But if you like, just to have it there, then sure, it's like $10.
Yeah.
The other thing is like, do you value having a laser? I don't know what many people would use that for off
Classroom
the top of
setting.
my head.
Classroom setting.
Yeah, okay, sure. I could think. Well, I rock climb, so like I'm a boulderer, and
Mm.
at the gym sometimes like you'll see coaches point to like holds on the wall with a laser,
Right.
and but I'm not a coach. But like I'm not presenting or teaching like you're saying. And the other thing is, if I had a cat, I would just frick around with the cat all day
True.
with the laser. Yeah, so that's probably what I would do.
Don't
So I don't know, up to you.
don't point it at the sky, by the way. If you have a laser, don't just don't do it. Don't point it
Yeah, don't.
outside. That is
Yeah,
actually
don't play
illegal.
around with that. Yeah, just because like you might get in the eyes of like pilots or whatever. It's just not safe.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think Olight, that form factor is cool. So if that's
I
compelling
agree.
to you and it will get you to try out the flashlight, go for it. It's not the most expensive,
It's 80,
but
90, and 100 for the three of us.
yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're just looking for good value EDC lights in general, check out our episode from before. We talk about some of those brands. Yazir, YAS1R, asks best waterproof office bag suggestions. Do you have any here, Mikey?
I believe Arc'teryx has the Granville series, and they have
Mm.
a both the Granville 16 or the 18, which is the backpack style, and they also have like a messenger bag style. It's an affordable version or the mainstream version of a more advanced bag they have called the Nomen, but it has waterproof zippers, taped seams, ripstop fabric, which would stop a lot of moisture. I think that would be my easy choice. That's also like slick looking, very nice for
Hmm.
an office setting. A more expensive version, I would look at Mission Workshop bags. They're a bit more expensive, but they use all of the advanced materials. So using heavy duty X pack and waterproof stuff and roll top stuff. So it's very waterproof outdoors, but still urban design. So that would be my more expensive pick if you want to take a look at their catalog.
I think there are a lot of options. Waterproof specifically, just to get like really nerdy and pedantic about it. Waterproof, you would probably be talking about a roll top because zippers can have some failure, right? Just the way they're designed. Most of these use laminated zippers. If you see something that features like YKK AquaGuard, like that's a nice material, or piece of hardware to look for, like brand name, very performant.
Mhm.
And then some materials, you could look for things with DWR. So it could be like a nylon with DWR, that's durable water repellent treatment to it.
Mhm.
That can help things. You might look for something with a storm flap over the main zipper compartment. That's just a piece of material that acts kind of like if you have a rain jacket and you put a hood on over your head, it's kind of like a hood for the zipper to help add an extra layer of protection. Yeah, some technical materials, X-Pack or this ripstop that Mikey was talking about with the Arc'teryx bags. I believe it's their proprietary like
AC2
polyurethane backed, AC squared. So those are cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Or look for Dyneema bags with YKK AquaGuard. There's a bunch of them. They're a bit more pricey, but yeah, that's kind of like the very top
a bit
end
more.
of it. Yeah,
a bit more pricey. Bit more. Yeah.
Add a few zeros at the end.
Yeah. Ridge also just released their travel line. They updated the commuter, which is weatherproof, and that has the zippers we're kind of talking about. So you can look at that. Next question, maybe my favorite question. And unfortunately, we should probably wrap this up. But plus minus 10 seconds asks quartz or mechanical watch.
I love the name to question synergy.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've made a TikTok about this that went viral, and I am team both. I wish you don't have to pick for this question, but quartz or mechanical. The majority of my collection, or like my just luxury higher end collection, is mechanical, but I do collect quartz. And I think part of the reason why the luxury end, it just happens to be mechanical, is because quartz doesn't cost as much. That's like one of the cool things about it. And I do want to show, like, so today I'm wearing this watch. This is a Crador, and it's a 34 millimeter watch.
34.
Crador,
good lord.
Yeah, 34 millimeter. And it's like 8 millimeters thick, and it is just so like classy, and it is quartz.
It is quite classy.
It is a high accuracy quartz. This is, if you're familiar with Grand Seiko basically like invented quartz, right? And they've developed high accuracy quartz movements. And for those of you who don't know, the difference between quartz and mechanical, really quickly, is quartz uses a quartz crystal oscillator and an electronic battery to like keep time, and it moves like ticks like 1 second, right, at a time, versus mechanical watches that have mainspring inside, and that sweeps the seconds hand, so it's kind of like a visual difference effect. Some people don't like quartz, and they think it's not like a real watch because it has a computer and a battery in there. But you can do, or at least Seiko can. Seiko makes sick quartz stuff. Same with Citizen. So Japanese brands do quartz really well. And the watch that I'm wearing, I think is like my grail quartz watch, because I think this is like plus 0.1 seconds over the course of the few months that I've owned it. So it's extremely accurate. Like maybe it'll hit 5 seconds throughout the course of this year in terms of accuracy. This movement is similar to the popular high accuracy quartz movement, the 9F, but this one's the HA. So it's a little bit older of a watch. And I got it for $600 from Japan because nobody's buying these things. So I'm not going to gatekeep it, but yeah, Crador.
Oh, you want to talk about high accuracy? How about a digital quartz?
Yeah.
I am completely accurate 24 hours a day because I am using a digital computer as a watch. Kind of cheating. Apple Watch. I mean, I'm team both as well. My beaters are my Apple Watch. I use it for fitness and for sleep tracking. And if I'm really gonna get like, I expect to be rained on or to be doing more intense activities, I have a G-Shock. But my entire watch collection in the box are all mechanicals. So I'm both, definitely, absolutely.
So I think like if any beginner, like kind of watch curious person is listening to this, I think go for mechanical stuff just to appreciate horology in general. And then once you start enjoying wearing watches, then you try like a new flavor, and then you'll try quartz. But try to get something like from Citizen or Casio or Seiko, or Seiko Quartz, just like those Japanese quartz brands, so that you have something that's already well respected within the watch community, but happens to be quartz. Then you might find an appreciation for that. I'm team both. I own both. I think both have their merits to them, and I think quartz unfairly gets a bad rap.
I agree.
So, yeah.
But we
We
also,
could do a whole episode on that, but we're not going to.
but thank you for all the questions. It's really nice to
Hmm.
respond and to like think about answers and that would be useful to you. So we really appreciate all your questions. Please keep sending them to us. We love the feedback. We love talking about something that might be helpful to your question and to anybody else having the same question. So yeah, please keep them coming.
Cool. So question and answer is over. It was, really fun. Let's just jump into the rest of the rest of today's episode.
Sweet.
And we're talking about kind of like how our EDC has changed this year, what we picked up, what we added to it,
Hmm.
what we took out, and why, and what that process has been like. So why don't we start with good stuff so that the people who have are still listening, have something to like look forward to.
Yeah.
Why don't you start us off, Mikey? What have you carried and enjoyed this year?
Oh, new stuff that I've added. I've had a because now that we're getting to try to review a bunch more knives, I have had a newfound appreciation for knives. And especially because I just recently learned how to spidey flick. And now I'm like taking all of my
Mm,
knives out of the case just to keep on flicking all of them. So carrying a dedicated knife is a little bit new to me and it's given me a whole new appreciation for that side of EDC. So that's my main one. The
yeah,
second,
same. I'm going to jump in real
yeah,
quick
go ahead.
just because I'm echoing what you're saying. Yeah, we've reviewed a bunch of knives on the site, and carrying a dedicated one, like I'm kind of falling back in love with knives, especially just
Yeah.
how knives have just the meta of knives has shifted a little bit. There's just so many more options, and the action on them is so good, and like more people get to do crossbar style locks, and you just have so many more designers at more affordable price points. So
Yeah.
there's just a lot of things to try out from before.
Remember the time when titanium plus S35VN would be like $400 to
Endgame.
start, right?
That's Endgame. That's a Chris Reeve, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's $400 to start. Now you're getting titanium M390 for 199 and it has a
Yeah, the one I showed in my pocket check, the Seder, this is S90V titanium at 199
yeah,
also.
sheesh. Yeah, like
Yeah,
it's
finishing is so good too.
everybody gets to experience all the good stuff now at more affordable price points and a lot of designers are experimenting with new styles, so we're getting a lot more front flippers, we're getting a lot more button locks, we're getting a lot more access lock style crossbar locks.
Hmm.
So there's something for everybody right now. Micarta, frag patterns, collabs that are still affordable. It's great. It's a really nice time to be a knife enthusiast at the moment. And you went on the podcast on NPR a couple of
I
months
did.
ago, and you gave a nice tip there that I started carrying
Oh,
recently.
twinsies.
All right. So
Yeah.
we are both holding up Listerine, what do you call this? Fresh packs? Pocket packs. There you go.
Pocket packs, bro. Fresh Burst pocket packs, not
There
sponsored.
you go. So these are nice. You don't want to carry a big noisy pack of mints. You don't want to carry a big pack of gum. Really, really tiny, 1 inch by 1.5 inch, I believe, is the container. 24 strips, keeps you fresh all day. Perfect. And last one that I've been carrying that's come in handy, especially now that I've been traveling, is a hero clip, which is a kind of a very divisive product. A lot of people are like, what is it just for the bathroom? What, you don't go to bathrooms with hooks on the door? But for me, from now that especially now that I'm traveling, I'm in coffee shops a lot. Some of them don't have hooks under the table. And these are one
Mm.
and a half, 2 inch tabletops. And I don't want to put my bag on the floor because it's like sticky on the floor. Somebody
Yeah, yeah.
spat some gum or whatever. So I use this to suspend my sling or my backpack off the floor. Always comes in clutch. Not even in the bathroom situation. I'm always in the coffee shop situation where I don't have an extra seat or it's like a tight fit, and always comes in clutch for me to carry that.
Yeah, for listeners who aren't familiar with the hero clip, it's kind of just like a carabiner clip, but it can unfold itself and kind of become sort of like a suspension clip
Yeah.
that you mount onto a flat surface, and then your carabiner can hang from there. And Mikey was saying, it's you can hang your bag off of a sticky floor or whatever. Just it's more convenient, cleaner, safer, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
I in the West Coast, wherever I go, like coffee shops and stuff, they don't have hooks for coats or bags because we just don't need that here in Southern California. But when I lived in New York for 5 years, like everywhere you could hang your coat, you could hang your
Mm,
bag because everybody had a coat in the bag.
right.
So if you're, traveling between maybe like an urban place to a less urban place, I think that's a good pick as well.
I've also used it for carrying groceries because this size, the medium one, is what you kind of want to get because this is perfectly
Mm.
fist size and you can use it to carry bags of groceries more ergonomically. So that's
Oh
also
yeah,
a secondary feature that I like about it.
distribute the pressure a little bit
Exactly.
across
Yeah.
your fingers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that
So that,
makes
yeah.
sense.
So Hero Clip, Listerine, Cool Mint Pocket Pack, and a dedicated knife. That's been the new additions this year that are very surprising, but all
Mm.
of them have been very, very useful to me. So those have been the big additions for me. How about yourself?
Mine are not super core EDC, other than like having fun carrying a dedicated knife again.
Hmm.
It also helps that like I have more chances to use it. Like now that I started volunteering again at the food bank, just like use my knife all the time there. I would say I think the thing that I enjoy the most right now, like as a dedicated part of my EDC, is like adding this phone-sized e-reader. So this is the
Oh,
Onyx Books Palma. I brought this up in the previous episode about sort of being a minimalist and having like a bajillion phones, but all of those digital devices that I would carry, um, they're right. The commenters are right. I was getting roasted like, dude, you could put all of that in your smartphone. True, except an e-ink device. I think for reading, like it's so much nicer to not be looking at backlight.
yeah.
Um,
Night and day.
and
It's
it,
such a
yeah,
difference to
and
use an
like I've
e-ink. Yeah.
actually finished books now that I've gotten this because I can read it in bed comfortably. It just fits my hand, and I can read it like while waiting in line or just like every time I want to reach for my phone and look at something, I can just sneak a few pages in.
And
It's yeah,
don't
that
underestimate the fact that it's a quote unquote dumb device where you're not getting bombarded by notifications and you can focus on what you're actually reading. It's a very underrated feature for it to be less smart.
honestly I feel kind of like weird bringing that one up as one of my picks, but I think the things that you mentioned, like the Listerine pocket pack strips, like personal care and tech, I think are unfairly undervalued
Mm,
in EDC. So maybe we could talk about that a little bit more. Just like
yeah,
things that you don't really see often mentioned in the EDC scene because it's all like hardware stuff.
yeah.
Those things I think are totally valid. Maybe one of the closer things to like personal care that has utility and is maybe underrated, like handkerchiefs,
Ooh, that's a
right?
where did handkerchiefs go? They had their moment also like during the pandemic, people are buying a ton of EDC hanks. That became a whole
Yeah,
movement in itself. But I don't see
and
it as
I
often now.
think I think that was maybe around the time when EDC pouches were also kind of blowing up.
Hmm.
Just think about it, like you might have to wipe something or like have a soft material between something to protect something or just like bundle things up into a thing. I think a handkerchief makes sense. There was a reason why like dudes used
Gentlemen,
to
yeah.
carry handkerchiefs all yeah.
I have
I don't
the
know where that went.
I have the alternative. I now carry one of these, like a pack of wet wipes that are
Hmm.
just the pocket sized. I can fit this in my back pocket. It usually lives in my sling. And this one is I like this brand and this particular style because it's kind of like it has a cooling like menthol effect to it. So if I'm it's really hot and humid here in the Philippines,
uh
so it comes in clutch for that. And if I spill something on myself, wet wipes is a little bit better than a dry handkerchief.
yeah.
So yeah, those are the two clutch moments for the wet wipe style of handkerchief instead of a dry pocket square or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I think I do. I left it in my pocket. Yeah. I have a microfiber cloth
Mm.
in my back pocket. This is like I wish there were better EDC microfiber stuff just because sometimes I wear glasses or when I drive I have sunglasses and I have phones and whatever. Or like a blade that I want to like wipe up. Uh
Remember there was a whole movement where the inner flap of your t-shirt had a microfiber part or like the inner part of your sleeve had a micro
Not me, bro. I would not do
I've
that. I don't
seen
know what you're talking
I've
about.
seen some shirts with like the inner cuff of the
Hmm.
cuff is lined with microfiber so in case you need to wipe your phone real quickly or something or the inner flap of the button of your button down shirt is microfiber lined so you can use it to wipe your phone. I've seen some stuff like that.
All right. I want to add one more underrated thing.
Mm.
Just now that I have the microphone and maybe like three people are listening to me, I swear by hearing protection.
Ooh, that's a good one. I
I
learned that from
like
you
so
also.
I have the loop. I just got these new ones. These are it's like this small case that you could just put on your
I
keychain,
thought
and
that
they're
was an air tag at first.
no, yeah, it's really small. They redesigned their keychain case attachment, but these are basically just earplugs that look cool and they're reusable and they're lightweight and they work. They seal out, I think, at least 20 decibels or somewhere around that of noise without muffling the frequencies. It just kind of filters it so you can hear everything clearly. You can have conversations, listen to live music, or watch a movie or something, or like eat at a restaurant, and it just takes the edge off of things. Again, not sponsored. Like, I've been using this brand and just the idea of earplugs for a while, and I, in case people haven't thought about this, like especially if you live in a city, because I used to live in New York, like you just step outside, you're immediately assaulted with sound and noise. So that's when I would have it. And hearing damage is irreversible. So especially you young listeners, like, gotta protect that stuff, man. They're like $20, and these are expensive relatively, right? Like 20 to $35 for earplugs. You can
You
get
can
cheaper
buy foam
ones.
ones from the hardware store for like $4
Yeah.
for a 5 pack or something. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
the actual stuff that construction people use is very affordable. You
Right.
can just go to any hardware store and they'd have it.
Yeah, I this might sound like, oh, this is obvious. Like if you're in the trade or like you shoot firearms or something, you probably know the importance of hearing protection. But just for like all the other just general EDC people, try them out. I think it might help your day-to-day experience be a little bit more calm and easier.
I got a little spoiled because I saw that the trick when when these AirPods first came out, and Marquez Brownlee on MKBHD,
MKBHD,
he
yeah.
pointed out that this is a good use in a concert, the transparency setting on these, where you can still hear completely, but then it auto adapts anything over a certain decibel range, and it
Mm,
lowers it automatically computationally, digitally.
yeah.
So it's not the same thing as the loop, like, ear protection, because those are actually legit ear protection that is going to stop the noise from coming into your ear. But it's very useful in specific settings. Like, I last used it when I went to a party, and the speakers were too loud, and it was just I
Hmm.
couldn't even hear talking to somebody in front of me. So I just put on the AirPods, put them in transparency mode, and just protect myself from still be able to have a conversation with somebody, but the party music is going behind me. So
Cool.
yeah.
Nice humble brag. One, that you
Mm.
went to a party, and two, that you have Apple AirPods Pro.
And three, I was talking to I had
Ah, yeah, I
talking to a
know.
friend.
You just weren't in the corner saying like they don't know I have a Leatherman Arc on me and it has Magna Cut. Um, yeah, so those are, I think, were underrated things. Maybe we could talk about overrated things or things that didn't really work out for us.
Hmm.
I'm looking at mine right now. I
Yeah,
talked about it
we
earlier,
have the
like this
same answer for
keychain.
this.
I added this like stainless steel atomizer for cologne. I realize that's kind of silly. I'm not in a place to need to reapply cologne anymore. I just liked like the thought of being able to freshen up, but then I just don't use it as much.
Mm.
So this, I might just take it off during this recording. But yeah, this is the Mordico Nano Sprayer, and it's stainless steel, so it is durable and it works well. The atomizer is cool, and it protects itself like with uh, screw down threads, I guess, to expose the atomizer. But yeah, this I don't really care for. I'm not gonna use. Probably take it off. But
Good,
when I do want to use it for
good,
travel and stuff,
good
it's nice.
prescient. This is a good example of what we like to advocate to people. We're like, you should just try it, see if it works out, and
Mm-hmm.
if not, be more, like, kind of more discerning with your EDC, and see if it just be honest, and it's like it doesn't really work out, and
Yeah,
just leave it at home, and you know move on to the next
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
It did get a lot of engagement on social media
Yeah.
when I posted it. Some people wanted to know what it is. Other people would just attack my character for being somebody that carries cologne.
You
But
paid how
oh well.
much for a silver atomizer? Yeah, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
The whole pouch thing for EDC,
Oh, you read my mind, bro.
I gave it a good shot. I have three of them. I tried carrying one of the garage built gear ones. I have one. I had one from Alpaca. Oh, sorry, I had four. I have two more from Green Room 136, which is a Malaysian brand. And I tried it. I tried the whole knife plus light plus multi tool in a cute little pouch that
Mm-hmm.
fits in your pocket and has your entire EDC. And if you lay it flat, it's a nice photo for Instagram. I gave it a good shot. I gave it at least 8 months, at least or close to a year. But it just the convenience for me, it wore out its welcome because I had to
Mm-hmm.
take it out, open it,
Unzip it.
unzip
Yeah.
it. And what's worse is I've dropped stuff from inside of it. If something was not
Mm.
completely attached or didn't have a solid enough clip, like the things that usually get dropped from mine were Swiss Army knives that don't come with a clip, and
Right. They're very
they're
slim
very
boys.
slim, and they're the Alox, the anodized aluminum style, which is very slippery. They're not really
Yeah.
grippy. So I unzip and then it slips. The moment I unzip, that's enough space. It just
Yeah.
flies
Yeah.
out of
Yeah.
it. So that wore out its welcome. And also, it kind of got annoying because some of these pouches also act as your wallet. So if I had to get my cards to go to the ATM or get cash, it just became so cumbersome. And then I just started taking out stuff one by one. And eventually I ended up with an empty pouch. I'm like, okay, I gave it a
Mm-hmm.
good shot. I'm done. I'm out of here. Pouches are not for me anymore. And I'm not really into the whole Rangerized thing with customization. So that was the other
Yeah.
appeal for those. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
done with
I
that.
had
Yeah.
a similar story. I had the alpaca hub pouch. I didn't get into pouches as much as you did. For that purpose, I was mainly using pouches to put in another bag.
Mm,
I think that's still valid for me, and
yeah.
that still works for me. You know, shameless plug. I made the Atlas Sling with min-handed portage, and that's kind of what it was designed to do. But the whole pocket pouch thing, where it's like your whole EDC fits into this thing, and then you put that into your pocket. I I think just putting all of them in a pouch and then in one pocket is like more bulky, or like bulges more. There's more pocket bulge involved than if you distribute that load throughout more pockets. And I think most pants are like at least, no, okay, not 5 pockets, but like 2 to 4 pockets. And that's plenty for me to put my phone and like my core EDC items.
There is also an argument to be made for protecting stuff. Like you don't want like a lot of people don't have their knife or a tool in the same pocket as their phone because it could scratch the screen and stuff like that. So
That's true.
having it in the
That's
more
true.
compact is like some people have reverted to the caddy style slips versus the
Hmm.
actual pouch, which I think is a bit more convenient because it's you don't have to unzip anything. The tool is right on the outside, but it's still a pocket protector technically, and then you can get it in leather and like nylon, and it's a bit more useful because it's right there already. You don't have to unzip or undo anything, but
Yeah.
it still consolidates your most used stuff. So I would prefer that, I think, over the pouches now.
Well, you said consolidate your most used stuff.
Mm.
Maybe I've hacked this. Maybe I figured out some gigabrain tip, but I'm using it to consolidate my not really used stuff, but would be nice to have
Mm.
around, but not like my main core carry. So
Mm.
in
So a backup
my
essentially.
they're not backups because they're new functions,
I see.
right?
I see.
There's no overlap. So like on my hub pouch, I have like the Grimlock D-ring, so like I have like a clip if I need it. Then I have my COB light, so it's
Mm.
just like a floodier light that's not a dedicated flashlight that you can use to set up, like, I don't know, photography or whatever you're using this sort of thing for.
Sure.
And then what else do I have in here? Business cards. I don't
Mm.
always need to have my business cards, so I have my business cards in there. And then I have a small. I have the Civivi Kai V. It's a knife, but it doesn't lock, so that's in there too. I have Lactate because I'm lactose intolerant. So like, medications and stuff. Then I have a small pen. I don't always use a pen. It's a Big Eye Design, I think, bolt action,
If
and that one's really small.
for the trading card game nerds, that's what we call a sideboard, where you have an
Yeah.
additional set of functions that aren't in your main deck. But if you're tournament ready and you need to swap out a functionality for something else, you have the sideboard ready to swap in a function or a tool or something else that could cycle into the main carry. But it's nice that you use the pouch to consolidate it and just keep it handy. Yeah, that's a good tip for that.
Yeah, because they're since they're not things that I use all the time, it's okay that they're a little bit harder to access, but at
Mm,
least I have them there.
yeah.
And just to finish up, like the other stuff that I have in there, chapstick with SPF. If you guys check
Mm.
out that NPR episode after my segment, there was a dermatologist who said everyone should be carrying chapstick with FPS or chapstick FPS, SPF. Yeah, gamer brain right now because you mentioned the
Cardio,
sideboard.
yeah.
And then the last thing, since I work on the computer and my phone a lot, I have some Roto eye drops,
Ooh.
and very slippery. I like dropped it twice during this
I
episode.
hear
So it's good that I put it in the pouch.
those are really nice. If you can get like the super minty ones, just like ice on your
Hmm.
eyes. Oh yeah, those are really good.
Yeah, some say ice, some say acid, but yeah, we've talked about things that worked, things that are kind of underrated, things that are overrated, and things that just didn't work for us, right?
Sure.
I think this is useful. Some of these things are useful to think about if you feel your EDC should be changing or going towards some direction, right?
Mm.
What do we do for those people that have, I don't know, FOMO? They feel like maybe I should be buying stuff because I'm into EDC.
Mm.
Uh, but what do you think about that?
So are you talking about like the quote unquote pocket trash stuff, or are we talking about stuff that other people might not consider EDC, but we find interesting and we would carry in our EDC?
No, I mean just in general because we talk about all these new products, right? And like what you can add to your carry, what you can do differently.
Mhm.
But I think we should take a moment to talk about just appreciating your carry the way it is, and
Mm.
maybe that's enough. Maybe you don't need to
Oh
buy
yeah,
anything. Maybe everything you need is already there, bro. You just need to look at it in a different way. And
yeah.
sometimes I don't think we pause and reflect like, can I get away with this? And are you okay with that? Maybe you've had previous ideas about like what your EDC should be, what you should do, and that has always informed your decisions to how to modify your EDC. But maybe if you're really honest, you're fine right now. That's cool.
And it's also it's I mentioned this in a previous episode, but it's so easy to get carried away, especially for EDC,
Oh,
because I said
you
it.
said the name.
Sorry,
Yeah, you
okay, I
said the
did it.
name.
We did it. Episode 6, but
Okay.
I don't want people to get carried away with the fact that EDC by itself or by its very nature is a buy to play kind of system where I don't want people to feel that they have to keep buying the newest and the greatest to participate in the community. There's so many things you can do, like modifications or reorganization or discussing optimizations to your existing stuff,
Mm,
which doesn't involve having to spend anything. Or you can combine stuff or modify stuff, or just, like you said, reframing your existing gear, maybe packing it a different way, maybe combining different tools a different way will give you more ideas. We don't want to keep promoting people to keep buying stuff to be part of the community, or to be an EDC, or you always have to have the
mm-hmm.
latest and greatest stuff. A lot of our favorite stuff has been the OG stuff and like really old stuff that you can still appreciate to this day. And if you bought it 10 years ago and it still works today, like one of my flashlights, then hopefully a lot of people can find that thing, that, or like watches. Even watches are lasting
Yeah,
30-40 years,
vintage stuff. Yep.
handed on as heirlooms. If you can find that stuff for every aspect of your EDC, then perfect. You don't have to keep spending for it. So always nice to reflect, always nice to think about your stuff in a new way, in a fresh way, more appreciation, and try using them in different ways, or try different scenarios. What's funny is I have a friend who's starting to get into knives also, and he's like, I am now
Mm.
actively looking for stuff to use my knife on. I'm now using it in the
Oh,
kitchen.
right.
I'm using it to cut up apples. It's so I don't want to just limit myself to just opening packages. And just for that, just that mental exercise is making him appreciate the knives even more, and thinking about better ways to carry, or maybe a different kind of knife would be more useful for specific situations, or open up more situations where he can use the knife and enjoy using the knives more. So mental exercises like that, I think, would be a nice way to appreciate your stuff more, at what you have right now.
Yeah. So maybe everyday carry is not what's in your pockets.
Mm.
Maybe it's a state of mind.
Ooh, that's the name of the episode. I think the state of mind, the state of EDC, the state of mind.
No, I'm just yapping, bro. I did not cook there. I don't know why I said that. It just sounded cool in the moment. But yeah, I like what you're saying about like reframing stuff, trying to find new ways to use stuff. Because the my pouch, like I wasn't gonna use it. I don't use it for the intended thing, but then now I found ways to incorporate a bunch of the things that I rarely ever use now can be part of my EDC in a convenient way that works for me,
Mm-hmm.
but it just wasn't what I expected it to be when I first got it. It wasn't the original intention.
And this is also the point of the show, right? We want to talk about and nerd out about this stuff and give people more ideas based on also what we have, our unique position where we get to review stuff and tell people about cool new stuff, and maybe that gives them ideas to explore new things or reframe and think about things in a fresh new way. So hopefully we have been helping in that regard. So yeah, and promote better, more efficiency with what you have, and just yeah, having more fun with EDC in general, really.
I think that's a great way to put it. I think we can wrap up a little bit here.
Mm.
So, just to recap, is there any advice to recap here?
I think we just said the recap that have
Yeah.
more fun with EDC without having to spend more. I think that's at the end of the day. Think about your stuff and appreciate your stuff, and like even us, we're in our unique position where we get to try samples and we get to essentially get some of this stuff for free, which we appreciate. Even if in that unique privileged position, I appreciate everything because I'm just enjoying the act of trying out new gear or experiencing
Just
new.
experiencing. Yeah,
and
exactly.
and it I always really want to force myself to not take stuff for granted. Like I mentioned in the previous episode, my favorite knife right now is also my cheapest knife, and like the Exceed Tyrant, like the one you said, just reframed the whole concept of a utility knife and they made a cool design that appeals to EDCers. It's a flipper, it's titanium, but it's a utility knife. It's a reframing of a classic tool, a classic functionality, and then just made it more fresh and more fun. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Maybe even same thing with like quartz versus mechanical, right?
yeah,
Like you can investigate quartz, and if you have an open mind to it, you can find more things to appreciate, and that will, I think, enrich your involvement and enthusiasm with the hobby as a whole.
mhm,
So maybe that will be my takeaway. It's like be open to more things and try to be curious about not only what you can carry but different ways to use existing things to carry, and I think you'll get a lot more value out of what you purchase and what you already own. And then at the same time also be okay with the fact that like sometimes things don't work out, and if you're honest with yourself you can more quickly identify what those things are, cut them out of your EDC if it just really doesn't serve you, and then you'll spend more time enjoying your EDC and you'll still be on this process of refining and dialing in your everyday carry.
everyday curious. That's good.
Is it though? We'll let the audience decide. Leave a comment if you like that. Also, you can leave a comment with your questions that you want us to answer in the future episodes. So if you made it this far, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's discussion. And if you did, please subscribe. If you're listening through a podcast service and you really enjoy what we do here, please consider leaving a review and a positive rating, as it would really help the pod. You can follow us on social media for more content daily on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook. All of that will be linked below. And if you want to be part of our EDC community, you can hop into our Facebook group or Discord server for more real-time discussion with other EDCers. And we also just started a new channel where we can discuss the podcast episodes themselves. And lastly, if you have any feedback for us or questions you want answered on the show, again, you can shoot us an email at podcast@everydaycarry.com. Those are really fun. We love doing those. So please send in your questions. Thank you for listening to Carry the Way. I'm Bernard.
And I'm Mikey. Breath strips.
And, oh, yep, breath strips. And until the next one, peace.
Later.